Have you ever stopped to think about just how diverse and fascinating humans can be? Forget your everyday routines and get ready to meet some truly unique individuals who defy the norm and celebrate their own special quirks. From conditions that sound like they are straight out of a fairy tale to people who embrace their unique features with pride, we are diving into a world where different isn't just accepted, it is celebrated. The real-life Magneto. Remember Magneto, the metal-bending mutant from X-Men? Well, believe it or not, there might be a real-life version walking among us. His name is Muhibija Buljubasic, a man in his 60s from Bosnia and Herzegovina. But here is the twist. Instead of controlling metal with his mind, strange objects seem to stick to him like glue. This unusual ability surfaced just a few years ago, and Muhibija swears he hasn't done any special training or practice. At first, it seemed like only metal objects obeyed his magnetic charm, but even plastic items like phones and remotes find themselves clinging to him. And get this, Muhibija, a car body repair specialist by trade, can even stick glass objects like ashtrays and whiskey bottles to himself. Talk about an odd party trick. While the practical uses of this talent remain a mystery, one thing's for sure, it's made Muhibija a local celebrity. People are simply baffled by his ability to defy gravity and become a human magnet. Isn't that incredible? It's like something out of a comic book. Who knows? Maybe Muhibija holds the key to unlocking new scientific discoveries about the human body. One thing's for sure, his story is sure to leave you scratching your head in wonder. Yu Zhenhuan, the hairy man. Imagine, for a moment, being covered head to toe in hair. That is the reality for Yu Zhenhuan, a man from China whose claim to fame, for now, is his incredible hairiness. Yu's thick black fur covers 96% of his body. It is a rare condition, one that made him an outcast as a child and earned him cruel nicknames like Caveman. But Yu didn't let that stop him. Instead, he embraced his uniqueness, making it his calling card on his journey to become China's next rock star. Yu's story began in the cold north of China, where he was born with a condition that caused hair to sprout almost everywhere. He remembers facing taunts and laughter, but over time something shifted. He learned to endure, even to see his fur as an advantage. That's how we find him now, not hiding, but showcasing his hairy self on his website, aptly named hairboy.com. It is his platform, his launchpad to stardom, but music is his true passion. He strums his guitar, blows the saxophone, and dreams of writing his own songs, not just covers. He performs in pubs and bars, his powerful voice resonating beyond the fur and captivating audiences with his talent and story. Life hasn't been easy. He has undergone surgeries to remove hair from his nose and gums, and the stares and whispers haven't completely disappeared. Yet, Yu persists. He sees beyond the surface, beyond the fur, to the music within. He wants to be known not just as the hairy man, but as Yu Zhenhuan, the rock star, the dirtiest man in the world. Amu Haji, a man from the Iranian village of Dejga, was known as the dirtiest man in the world. Now that might sound like something out of a fantasy film, but Amu Haji lived a real, if unusual, life. For over 60 years, he didn't take a single shower. His days were spent in a simple, almost primitive way. One of his most interesting possessions was a 3-inch steel pipe, used not for smoking tobacco, but animal dung. His skin, hardened by years of sun and dirt, was like clay, and his eyes were barely visible through the grime. It's hard to imagine the smell, but let's just say it was unique. For food, Amu Haji wasn't picky. He cooked up anything he could find, even rotten porcupine meat. And when night fell, he curled up in a hole in the ground, like a makeshift grave. Why live like this, you might ask? Well, Amu Haji believed that cleanliness would actually make him sick. Amu Haji lived a long life, passing away at the ripe old age of 94 just a few months after his first, and maybe only, bath. Who knows what he was thinking, or what his life experiences taught him, but his story certainly sparks curiosity, doesn't it? Tom Staniford. Imagine being one of only 8 people on Earth with a condition so rare it has a name practically no one knows: mandibular dysplasia syndrome. This baffling condition stole Tom Staniford's ability to store fat under his skin, even on his feet. You could say he is the leanest guy you would ever meet. It wasn't always like this, though. Tom started life with a normal metabolism, but things took a surprising turn at age 12 when Tom started losing fat from his face and body. Not only that, but his muscles are just 40% of what an average guy has. On top of that, his hearing is affected too, so he relies on hearing aids to stay connected. Despite having almost no fat, Tom also developed type 2 diabetes. It's like a cruel joke. His body thinks he is obese even though he is the picture of thinness. But Tom is a fighter. He refuses to let mandibular dysplasia syndrome hold him back. He lives a full life, complete with a supportive girlfriend, who sees him for the amazing guy he truly is. He is an accomplished cyclist. He also conquered law school and became a graduate. It's stories like Tom's that remind us that anything is possible, even when faced with unusual challenges. He is an inspiration, proving that limitations are just suggestions, and when life throws its best punches, just stand tall and swing back. The Illustrated Lady. It's easy to judge a book by its cover, especially when that cover is a vibrant tapestry of tattoos covering 95% of the body. That is exactly what many did with Julia News, also known as the Illustrated Lady, or the Irvine Walker. But like any good book, there is a story lurking beneath the surface, a story that goes beyond the ink and into the heart of a woman facing a unique challenge. Julia's life wasn't about breaking records, though she did hold the Guinness World Record for being the most tattooed woman in the world. Her life was about finding a solution to a painful problem. In her mid-30s, Julia was diagnosed with cutaneous porphyria, a rare condition that made her skin extremely sensitive to sunlight. Even the slightest exposure could cause painful blisters, leaving behind scars as deep as third-degree burns. Imagine living in constant fear of the sun, the very source of life. Faced with this challenge, Julia didn't despair. Instead, she found an unconventional way to cope. She decided to cover her scars with tattoos, transforming her body into a living artwork. It wasn't just about vanity, it was about reclaiming control, turning her scars into something beautiful and personal. But it wasn't a simple solution. The tattoos didn't prevent the blistering, they were purely a way for Julia to feel comfortable in her own skin. She filled her body with vibrant scenes, from cartoon characters to landscapes. Later in life, she made another decision, choosing to have the tattoos removed through laser treatment. This wasn't an erasure of her past, but rather a new chapter, a reflection of her evolving journey. Tragically, Julia passed away in 2016, leaving behind a legacy of courage and individuality. While her story may be unusual, it reminds us that appearances can be deceiving. There is always more to a person than what meets the eye, and true beauty often lies in the resilience and choices we make in the face of challenges. Eyeballs that pop. Our eyes are windows to our souls, but for Kim Goodman, they are something even more incredible. They are superpowers. Imagine being able to pop your eyeballs out of their sockets, not just a little bit, but a whopping 12 millimeters. That's exactly what Kim can do, and it has earned her the Guinness World Record for the farthest eyeball protrusion. This amazing talent wasn't something she planned or practiced. It all started with a surprise bump on the head, after which her eyes decided to perform a magic trick. They popped out further than ever before, and they never went back to normal. Now, Kim can pop them out on command, like a party trick with a twist, or even when she yawns. Her incredible ability landed her on the iconic Late Show with David Letterman, and she left audiences both shocked and amazed. But Kim's talent isn't just about showmanship. In 2004, she was even included in Guinness World Records' top 10 feats of all time, solidifying her place as a true anomaly. So next time you think you have seen it all, remember Kim Goodman and her extraordinary eyes. They are a reminder that the human body is capable of some pretty incredible things, and that sometimes the most unexpected experiences can unlock hidden talents within us. Who knows, maybe you have a superpower waiting to be discovered too. Amar Bharati. Have you ever seen someone hold their arm up for months, let alone years? Imagine doing that for almost 50 years, all in the name of peace. That is the incredible story of Amar Bharati, an Indian ascetic who has dedicated his life to a silent plea for harmony in the world, one raised hand at a time. Before taking this life-altering path, Bharati was just like us. He had a family, a job, and lived a normal life. But in 1970, something shifted. With a deep devotion to Shiva, a Hindu deity known as the primordial yogi, he decided to dedicate his life to peace. His chosen form of protest? Holding his right arm high. It wasn't easy. For 2 whole years, he endured excruciating pain as his body adjusted to this unusual position. Eventually, the pain subsided and it was replaced by a numb arm with muscles that had shrunk and hardened. He couldn't bend it anymore, and his nails grew into long, spiraling claws. This extreme act of devotion might seem strange to some, even shocking. But within the world of Hinduism, ascetics like Bharati are not uncommon. They often push their bodies and minds to the limit, seeking spiritual growth and challenging societal norms. Alexander the Great himself encountered such ascetics centuries ago and found their practices fascinating and perplexing. So what drives someone to make such a sacrifice? For Bharati, it's clear: a simple wish for peace. His raised hand stands as a powerful symbol, reminding us all that even small acts of dedication can carry immense weight. Remember, peace can come in many forms, even a hand raised high. What will you do for the world today? The bionic woman. Eileen Brown is no ordinary woman. While she may not have robotic fingers like in the movies, she is kind of like a real-life bionic woman. You see, for a big chunk of her life, Eileen has been battling rheumatoid arthritis. This condition really took its toll on her joints, to the point where her right elbow is the only one she can call her own. Now, most people don't even start dealing with rheumatoid arthritis until they hit their 40s, but not Eileen. Nope. She was already feeling the pain in her late 20s. At first, doctors thought it was just growing pains. Then they thought she was just feeling down and out, so they put her on some antidepressants. It wasn't until later that they figured out what was really going on and started the long journey of surgeries. Eileen has been through it all: shoulder, elbow, hip, and knee replacements. It's been a real roller coaster ride for her. She has had so many surgeries, about a dozen of them, and countless procedures. It's like she is part human, part metal. There was even this funny incident at the airport where all the metal inside her set off the alarms. Now, the whole process of limb replacement started back in the late 80s when they found rheumatoid arthritis in her left hand. From there, things just kept getting worse. Her knuckle had to be replaced with plastic because the pain was so intense. And by the 1990s, her wrists had fused together, making it impossible for her to bend her hands. But Eileen didn't give up. She kept pushing through, and doctors kept finding ways to help her. They replaced her knee with a metal one, and then her left shoulder got the same treatment. Through all the pain and surgeries, Eileen has shown incredible strength and resilience. Real life. Incredible Hulk. Meet Romario dos Santos Alves, a man who dreamed of embodying the Incredible Hulk's monstrous physique. But unlike Bruce Banner, he wasn't looking for gamma rays. He turned to a risky shortcut: synthol injections. These concoctions, a mix of oil and alcohol, promised instant muscle growth, and Alves, obsessed with becoming a real-life Hulk, went all in. At first, it seemed to work. Those injections pumped up his arms to a whopping 25 inches. He ended up looking like a real-life monster, and of course scared the daylights out of kids on the streets. But just like any quick fix, the consequences were brutal, and Romario learned that the hard way. Synthol is toxic, and it wreaked havoc on Romario's body and mind. And if that wasn't bad enough, he got hooked on them too. His wife, Marisangela Mourinho, even threatened to leave him if he didn't quit the dangerous habit. Things took a terrifying turn when doctors warned that the only way to save his life might be amputation. Thankfully, they managed to remove the hardened oil deposits, like rocks forming in his arms, without resorting to such drastic measures. Phew, that was a close call. Romario's story is a reminder that chasing unrealistic body ideals can lead to some serious consequences. It's definitely not worth risking your health and happiness for a few extra inches of muscle. The woman who fell in love with a plane. Love comes in all shapes and sizes, and for Michelle Kobka, it took the form of a Boeing 737 aircraft. In 2020, Michelle made headlines by announcing something quite extraordinary. She said she was going to marry the plane she affectionately nicknamed Shots. This means darling in German. It all began in 2014 when she first laid eyes on the jet at Berlin Tegel Airport. Something about its sleek wings, powerful winglets, and roaring thrusters sparked a connection in Michelle's heart. Their relationship wasn't without its challenges. Imagine dating someone you can only see through an airport window. But Michelle persevered, cherishing every glimpse and dreaming of closer encounters. In 2019, their love story finally took flight. With special permission, Michelle was finally able to step onto the plane's wing and plant a kiss on its metal skin. These moments were, in her words, the most beautiful of her life. She even admitted to cuddling with airplane parts in bed when she can't be near her beloved jet. While Michelle's family remains hesitant to meet Schatz, her friends and many others have embraced her unique relationship. You see, Michelle's love for the jet is what some experts call objectophilia, a romantic attraction to an inanimate object. But for Michelle, it's just a normal relationship. After all, love knows no bounds, right? The grandma with horns? Horns are something you see on goats, rams, maybe even mythical creatures like unicorns, not something you expect to sprout from someone's head. But that's exactly what happened to Zhang Ruifang, an elderly woman living in a village in China back in 2011. It all started with a rough patch of skin on her forehead, nothing to worry about at first. But then, like a tiny seed, it started to grow. Soon, a horn, like something out of a storybook, emerged from her head. And guess what? It wasn't alone. Another little bump appeared on the other side, hinting at a twin horn on the way. Naturally, everyone was amazed. Her family, friends, and even the villagers were all buzzing about it. Her son, barely believing his eyes, explained how they initially ignored the bump, thinking nothing of it. But it just kept growing, defying explanation. The horn, however, didn't faze Zhang Ruifang one bit. Sure, it was a bit awkward at first, especially when trying to sleep. But hey, on the bright side, she became a local celebrity. People flocked to her house, bringing gifts and food, all eager to catch a glimpse of the woman with the horns. And who knows, maybe she even enjoyed the extra attention, becoming the most talked-about grandma in town. Life can indeed be full of surprises, and sometimes the most unexpected things can bring joy and connection, even if they sprout right out of your head. Now, it's time for today's subscriber's pick. So far, we have seen humans who defy the odds and push the boundaries of what we think is possible. From someone who has kept their right arm raised for over 50 years to another whose eyeballs can protrude from their sockets, these individuals are living proof that the human potential is truly limitless. And speaking of unique, let's talk about Ducky Thought, the Australian model nicknamed Black Barbie. With her stunning looks and infectious personality, Ducky is taking the fashion world by storm. She is not afraid to be different, and that is what makes her so inspiring. Ducky is a vocal advocate for diversity and inclusion. She challenges unrealistic beauty standards and inspires others to embrace their uniqueness. Now, before we get back into the video, here is a question. Do you know any unusual individuals in your community? Share their stories below, and let's celebrate the diverse richness of human experiences. Hammerhead. Can you imagine someone's head being so strong that it could smash bowling balls, shatter concrete blocks, and even bend steel bars? That's John Ferraro, a professional wrestler better known as Gino Martino, who is not just tough in the ring, but literally thick-headed in the best way possible. Forget thick-headed as an insult for John. It's a badge of honor. His incredibly thick skull has landed him a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records for some mind-boggling feats of strength. We are talking about bending steel bars, snapping baseball bats in half with just his head, and even driving spikes through wood wrapped in metal, all with his forehead. But John's party trick isn't just about impressive feats. He uses his head for some seriously hardcore stuff too. Imagine having concrete blocks smashed on your head with a sledgehammer. Even 16-pound bowling balls falling from 15 feet above don't faze him. This incredible ability wasn't something he trained for, though. It all started as a teenager during a sibling squabble. Chasing his brother, John accidentally crashed headfirst into a giant oak door. Instead of pain, he felt nothing. That was when he realized his head wasn't just thick, it was superhumanly strong. So next time you see John in the ring or hear about his feats of strength, remember it's not just an act. He is the real deal, a strong man whose head is harder than most things you will ever encounter. Escals Back In. Have you ever dreamed of walking on a tightrope high above the ground, or holding a handstand on a pile of chairs precariously balanced on a cliff edge? Well, some people actually do this for a living. Meet Escals Back In, a Norwegian daredevil who pushes the boundaries of balance and defies gravity like it's his personal playground. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a towering canyon, the wind whipping through your hair and the ground far, far below. That's where Escals feels most at home. He travels the world performing incredible balancing acts on the very tips of cliffs, buildings, and even moving objects like hot air balloons. He has walked tightropes between them, mind you, not just strolled on a leisurely stroll. And then there was the time he did a handstand on a stack of chairs balanced precariously on a rock wedged between two cliffs, 3,500 feet tall, no less. But Escals isn't just a thrill seeker. He prepares meticulously for each act, using yoga, meditation, and breathing techniques to stay calm and focused. He has been honing his skills since he was just 5 years old, climbing trees and playing on rooftops in the Norwegian countryside. Inspired by an Indian yogi he saw on television, he dedicated himself to the art of balance and later refined his skills under the watchful eye of a renowned circus trainer. Escals' passion doesn't stop at pushing his own limits. He wants to inspire others too. He has even traveled to the slums of Nairobi to teach acrobatics to young people and instill confidence and courage in them. And now, for his next challenge, Escals sets his sights on the ultimate balancing act. A one-handed handstand on top of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. He dreams of feeling like he is flying, with just 5 fingers connecting him to the man-made peak. Of course, with such daring feats comes the risk of danger, and wind is a major concern for Escals' Burj Khalifa dream. Experts worry the building's sway in high winds could make it too risky. But Escals' determined spirit knows no bounds. He will keep training, perfecting his balance, and maybe, just maybe, one day he will achieve his incredible dream and truly touch the sky. The Man Who Can't Sleep. As humans, sleep is a vital part of our lives. It's our body's way of recharging and resetting, allowing us to wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. But what if you couldn't sleep, no matter how hard you tried? That's the incredible reality for Thai Ngoc, a farmer from Vietnam's Nha Trang Valley. Ngoc spends his days tending to his crops and fish ponds, just like any other farmer. But unlike his neighbors who rest their heads when the sun goes down, Ngoc claims he hasn't slept a wink since 1973. After a bout of fever that year, sleep simply vanished from his life, and despite seeking medical help, it never returned. Imagine going a night, 2 nights, even a week without sleep. You would probably be irritable, foggy-headed, and utterly exhausted. Most people would struggle to function after days without sleep, but Ngoc seems to be an anomaly. He adapted to his sleepless existence remarkably well, with no major health problems reported. Of course, not being able to sleep isn't exactly a walk in the park. Ngoc often envies others who drift off peacefully at night. He has even tried alcohol, hoping it would lull him into slumber, but it only gives him a hazy drowsiness without ever leading to true sleep. Despite his unique condition, Ngoc prefers a quiet life. He gained some international attention when his story hit the news in 2000, with foreign television networks offering him hefty sums to film his daily life. But Ngoc politely declined, preferring to keep his life private. More recently, YouTuber Drew Binsky spent a night with Ngoc, documenting his attempts and ultimate failure to fall asleep. One theory suggests Ngoc's insomnia might be linked to post-traumatic stress disorder from the Vietnam War, where he reportedly injured his hand. But the true cause remains a mystery. So, the next time you toss and turn in bed, counting sheep and willing yourself to sleep, remember the story of Thai Ngoc. His experience, while extraordinary and perhaps unexplainable, reminds us of the fascinating diversity of human biology and the remarkable ways we can adapt, even in the face of unusual challenges. The woman with the X-ray vision. If you are familiar with Superman, you probably know about his superpower of X-ray vision. Well, A real-life person with a similar ability exists. Her name is Natasha Demkina, and she is from Russia. She has the ability to see right through people and glimpse their insides. This young woman says she can peer into human bodies and see organs and tissues, even diagnosing illnesses based on what she sees. Sounds incredible, right? Natasha's journey began around the age of 10. Think back to your childhood. Most 10-year-olds are busy with school, friends, and maybe the occasional scraped knee. But for Natasha, things were different. While playing with her mom one day, she had a strange experience. Not a superhero kind, but one where she could see inside her own mother's body. She started describing organs and details, leaving her mom speechless. Soon, word spread like wildfire, and people with all sorts of ailments lined up outside their door, hoping Natasha could see their problems too. Newspapers and TV caught wind, and soon Natasha was on planes to London, New York, and even Tokyo, performing demonstrations and leaving audiences awestruck. But were her abilities truly superhuman? Doctors back home were curious, so they put Natasha to the test. One involved a doctor with a hidden ulcer. Natasha drew a picture of his stomach, pinpointing the exact location. Another involved a patient diagnosed with cancer. Natasha saw something different, a small cyst, not a tumor. While these were impressive feats, they weren't always perfect. Some tests didn't show the same accuracy, leaving the question hanging. Was Natasha truly gifted, or was there something else at play? Regardless, she continued her work, even opening a center dedicated to diagnosing and treating illness, not just with medical professionals, but also with experts possessing unusual abilities and traditional healers. Natasha Demkina's story is fascinating, a peek into the world of the unexplained. Whether her abilities are truly medical marvels or something else entirely, it's a reminder that the human mind and body hold many mysteries yet to be unraveled. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.